Okay, hello, everybody. So it is September, and this is our monthly free open studio Zoom for everyone who's a member of the Whitney Freya Studio at whitneyfreyastudio.com. If you're watching the replay on YouTube or something and you're in whitneyfreyastudio.com and didn't receive the email invites, next time you log in to whitneyfreyastudio.com, go to my profile, go to notifications, and make sure the notifications to receive emails is on, because that is just the easiest way for me to send invites and reminders and all that. And it encourages you to turn that email function on. I really only email from this platform for things like this, to say thank you for joining me in the studio and to get to know more of you. So anyway, welcome. These open studios are really, like I said, an opportunity to connect, to see each other live, to get to know each other, to ask questions. I've been offering prompts pretty regularly. We've been doing some painting yoga sessions. You can go to my YouTube channel and there's a playlist for the Whitney Freya Studio opens or Zooms or whatever, however I call it, but it's Whitney Freya Studio Zooms. And you can watch the replays. And as always, you are welcome to follow your own intuition and muse and paint whatever you want. There might be some show and tell at some point. Like I come in with an itty bitty bit of an agenda, just enough to provide you with some inspiration. So does anyone right off the bat, I haven't done this before, does anyone right off the bat want to show and tell anything that's kind of sparked some inspiration for you? Because I'm going to do that. I am a show and tell fanatic. I love show and tell. You remember that from school? Isn't that funny? Because there's so much wisdom that comes through our art. You know, this creative frequency is very, very wise. Does anyone have anything you want to share? Right off the bat? We all have more chance later. I'll get you all warmed up. So today okay, Pamela. Oh, beautiful. What is she? What aspect of you is she bringing to life or animating? You have to unmute yourself.
I tend to just like paint and I don't really think about it too much. But she's the second time I've painted and they have a very round face. And when I paint it, it makes me think of the moon.
Oh, yeah.
The face of them. But yeah, it was just, I painted all these flowers and then I just ended up sticking a face on it. So yeah.
I love it. And it's a full moon today. It's a big full moon.
Oh,
it's
that's right.
full
Yeah.
moon lunar eclipse. And yeah, you got to look up all the, oh, wow, look at Verena's. They look like sisters. So Pamela, let me just say, I love always the not thinking, right? Because we think so much. We don't really have to encourage people to think anymore. And it might be fun for you to get curious as you paint and be like, so I wonder why the flowers are coming through today, or I wonder why my women's faces remind me of moons, and just see what comes to mind. It's not so much like a thinking, figuring it out, as it is opening up to receive. What I do is just receive like these, I used to just think they were random thoughts, but they're not. They're like an aspect of me that's, you could describe as the infinite aspect or higher self or whatever, but I get whispers, guidance that is not coming from my normal train of thought. And it's just fun.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And, I painted owls starting in 2010 for a year straight, like a year, to the point that I would try and paint something other than owls, and then it would just end up being an owl. And I just was like, oh, period, And then one day I Googled, who is the goddess of art? I wasn't into the goddess thing at all. And Athena came up, who always has the owl on her shoulder, which is why now I have this huge owl tattoo on my shoulder. Anyway, and that was the first time I was like, maybe there's a reason I'm painting owls. So that,
I paint a lot of women. I mean, almost entirely women's faces. Again, like I go into it no mind. And all of my work is around the emergence of the feminine.
Okay,
like
well, yeah, there you go.
everything I do. So I know it's partly with connecting with that energy,
Yeah,
but I love your idea and I will
yeah,
definitely do that.
yeah, yeah. It's almost like an oracle card, like lunar woman of the flowers or of the harvest or of the abundance or of blooming or of, beauty or whatever. Anyway,
Well,
lovely.
it actually, now that you say that, so I just wrote for my Facebook, I did my outline for my Facebook Live, and I've been talking about Persephone. And
Yeah.
Persephone goes into the underworld and then comes out in spring. And so I've been really exploring that in terms of the feminine being in the unconscious, and that there have been 5 renaissances and we're in the 5th one right now. And that historically they've all been repressed again. But now that we're in that critical moment when the feminine is emerging again. And how are we going to keep her out this time so that she doesn't go back? And you can see politically they're trying to push her back in.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that. So the owl was actually coming through to guide me out of my underworld experience. Like that's,
Oh,
yeah. So yeah, anyway, I love how that all just came together. Thank you for sharing.
sure. Thank you.
Verena, did you want to share something?
Okay, like when I painted this, I just thought, since I've been doing workshops every Thursday, and I started working with a class with our local school, and I was just going to work with the garden, but then I ended up helping with the after school program, and they wanted me to do paintings. So I came home and I did just a little color thing, and I did a face, and then this one freaked me out. Because it was one of the little boys that has he has autism, and they don't really understand him, and suddenly he's looking straight at me, and it's like, oh my God. So I had to create, like, the first paintings of him were not as balanced, because I had to work with it.
Yeah.
And finally, the expression on his face was more relaxed and gentle. And, to me, that was like an energetic breakthrough, to let that energy go into, around the school and around that boy, because he was expelled for just being, himself, his autistic self, and they
Right.
think he's normal. And so
Yeah.
you never know what comes out in those paintings. I mean, they can be so intuitive, just giving messages.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. And I
yeah,
feel like, you being there for him, like there's going to be um changes created because of you being there with him and offering, this different energy, different frequency, right?
right, right. It's
Yeah.
already like the frequency's already shifting,
Yeah.
and I just got there like 2 weeks ago doing this, so
Wow. Well, thank you for
it's
helping
amazing.
schools. That's a big
Yeah,
deal.
because we never know how things go, just to be open and, okay, I'm going with the flow. I'm not going to try to make sense of this, and it's all impermanent anyway. Nothing is permanent.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah. And we learn that at the canvas while we paint, I
Totally.
know a lot of us start, and I've had my moments. I mean, I started knowing nothing, so I didn't really have the like trying to control the painting practice, but I've learned over the years like how to trust. And the paintings where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I actually suck at this. Like, how am I gonna make a living, or whatever. And then those paintings, when I make it through, it's almost like it's a gift to be brought to that place, that point of kind of resistance, or fill in the blank, and then to keep going. It's in the keeping going that I have the breakthrough, or have that kind of initiation or activation that kind of shows me, like, when you feel like this, when you keep going and stay in that creative frequency, you'll get to the other side. And so trusting the process, and then the next time it happens, maybe it's kind of a chuckle, like, okay, like, I know this kind of messy middle, and then it happens in life when something doesn't go exactly, or you're surprised at an aspect of an experience that you didn't anticipate, and you're able to just stay open and to realize that your responsibility only starts from within. It's an inside out. You're not responsible for anybody else or other things. And that helps you stay in a more creative mode because you're not trying to control things that ultimately you can't control, right? That shuts down that creative frequency. So yeah, that's a beautiful example. I love it. Well, beautiful. Thanks for sharing, everybody. Hi, everyone who just joined me. Just for having a little pre-show and tell. We had lovely people to share before I got them all warmed up. Oh, Mom is joining. Okay, so I wanted to share for our prompt for today, and you all can start this. Many of you know how to do this really well. So the prompt to start is to start just some sort of first layer. So like this is a acrylic painting first layer. I've been doing, this is acrylic and there's some watercolor in here and some paint pen that you probably can't see too much. But it started just by like cleaning my brush. You can kind of see it here. Like I had a big brush with some acrylic on it and I just did a loose kind of cleaning the brush off and then added in watercolor and other acrylics. So I want you to just start playing. Okay. And keep in mind that ideally, this is another kind of first layer. This was all watercolor. So it's just plain layering. You know, you can put your brush or whatever you're using to make your marks in your non-dominant hand to get super loosey-goosey. You could do a soul scribble, which many of you are familiar with. This one was pretty fun. Just started out just a hot mess. Just these colors. All those colors just make me so happy. So we're just doodling, playing. I'm thinking of one. I want to show you. Where'd it go? I've been using with this creative frequency focus. So, you know, creatively fit. This is one of my favorite. This is actually finished as far as I'm concerned. This is a self-portrait. The fluorescent pink seems to be really big in the creative frequency. A lot of us that have started this new coaching training are painting with fluorescent pink and commenting on like, oh, these colors. And I just find that super interesting. You know, because fluorescent pink isn't like a fine artist color, right? So we're just doodling right now, doodling, playing with whatever you have. But I've really been enjoying, and different from the creatively fit training for some reason, the creative frequency is digging mixed media. So I'm using watercolors. I'm using my gouache, which is kind of like a blend of acrylics and watercolors. So they're like watercolors, but they're more opaque than typical watercolors. And then I've been using the Caran d'Ache. These Caran d'Ache crayons are super fun. They're water soluble, so you can paint them on wet, and then you can paint over them once if you put them on dry. And then merging watercolor and acrylic. So I just invite you to start playing, and you know, maybe again with as little thinking as possible, just pick whatever colors feel the yummiest and see how kind of non-product oriented you can be. Like how just doodling, playing with color, not even thinking about what it's going to turn into, just exploring. And I highly recommend, if you have handy, different size brushes. So I've been going from like bigger brushes, which this isn't that big, but to this is like a liner brush. I don't know if you can see. They have longer, wow, it's like invisible. Oh, okay. They have longer, skinny bristles that are really fun to like twist and drag. The other thing that I love to do, so merging, like switching from big brush to small brush is really fun. And I've also been loving like with this one, I'm having lots of these kind of irregular circles. But I'm holding on to a thin brush at the very end of the brush, so I can't control it very well, and just kind of letting it skip around the paper. So we're just playing different colors, different mediums, different brushes. And notice, I'm curious with all of you here, has anyone had the feeling or found yourself thinking that, like, I always do these same shapes? Like, I'm always painting the same shapes, or maybe the same colors. I mean, we know a magenta is my favorite. And the fluorescent pink, I guess, right now. So I do believe that sometimes we are attracted or do find ourselves painting the similar shapes, and that's either because it's like a shape that is symbolic of kind of like a personality trait, right? If you can connect a shape to a personality trait, like if you love triangles, triangles are typically like directional, and maybe you're a really great like implementer, and you're the one in the group that's like, hey, let's all do this Friday night, right? That might be a triangle person. Or maybe it's circles, like, holy moly, I do a lot of circles. And maybe that is because you are kind of a mediator, you know, you're someone who brings people together. I remember, for some reason, this is unique to when I was in Nashville and teaching my Painting Made Easy class every month. And I would invite people to cover the blank canvas, kind of like we're doing now, the first layer. And some people would just start painting columns, right? Like and then I'd ask, like, oh, tell me about yourself or whatever. Anyway, those people almost always ended up being accountants or something. And it's okay. Like, it's okay. Like, I do tons of circles. Some of you I know do lots of spirals, and I love spirals as well, but I'm more circles than spirals for some reason. So again, instead of kind of beating yourself up about like, oh, I always paint this color, as if you're somehow should be painting things, you know, different all the time. What if you just got curious, like, I wonder why I'm painting circles all the time, or I'm painting hearts all the time, or spirals all the time? And what is that? How is that connecting to part of who I am? And isn't it interesting how quickly we can start beating ourselves up or criticizing ourselves, when in reality, it's like, yeah, you're a circle person, or you're a square person, or you're a line person, and that's perfect. That's one of your superpowers. And the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Likewise, maybe you're a circle person who's being called to be more of a linear person. Like, I know for me, there's a lot of times where I actually go to the canvas to give myself an opportunity to paint a highly detailed painting, because I tend to not really love to dig into the details. Those of you who know me are probably chuckling, because you know that to be true, right? So we can practice being a way that maybe doesn't come naturally, but we realize, like, okay, in this situation, I do want to practice that. Or maybe there's something going on in your life that is not really harmonious, or not really unifying. And so you think, okay, I'm going to paint circles. Like, you can imagine into a situation that maybe has a lot of discordance, and paint circles to like bring that frequency, that energy into the situation, right? And you can always just do whoa, I haven't really expressed this before, doing like a creative frequency painting for the highest and greatest good of everyone. Like, what is the world, what shape does the world need more of, or you think would be good medicine for the world? Maybe put in the chat. I love this. What shape do you think would be good medicine for the world? I'm feeling spirals, actually. Just staying open. I'm always saying these days, like, we have so many more solutions than problems. So many more solutions than problems. Focus on that. Ooh, I love it. Okay. Hannah, Mahadevi, spiral, heart. Oh, Kathy just popped in and checked this out. All these chats just emerged. Flow. Yeah, we could add some flow into the movement. Chicken energy is good. Reminding yourself to get out of your own way. Yes, yes, yes. Well, okay. Circles, Venn diagram, hearts, hearts, hearts. Yes. I love painting hearts into even the under layers. I'm going to paint some hearts now. I'm going to paint some hearts. So I'm using my non-dominant hand in the very end of the, hi Candy, the end of the brush. So I get kind of these organic, primitive looking shapes, which I absolutely love. I mean, like, what a happy heart that is. Just painting with the non-dominant hand. I love it. Okay. And then I've also been taking pencil, and you can draw designs or patterns or words even. Wow, this is starting to look like music as I put those lines in. So it's starting to look like music. Hi, Patricia. I get to see you soon, finally. So we're just, if you just hopped on, we're just creating a first layer. We're doing, the invitation is to use whatever materials you have. And if you have handy, like a pencil and watercolors, or watercolors and acrylics, and then ideally we're going to paint over, you know, kind of a second layer, which you could always do the second layer, like with a pencil or something. So, and you don't have to finish it in this hour either, of course. So we're just playing. So this is a prompt just inspired by what I've been doing lately, and mostly in my art journal, connected to the new creative frequency coaching training. And this creative frequency really loves and kind of wants us to really immerse just in the joy of creating, the joy of color, the freedom, you know, not unlike the freedom chapter in Rise Above, or, you know, any of you who've done any of my programs, you know, that first layer is all about fun and play. The creative frequency is really, really like emphasizing that. And as I've been getting to know this new facet of, you know, what I've been sharing with you all for the last 28 years, it's come through as a very unique, like personalized energy. It doesn't feel like we're each tapping into the creative frequency. We're tapping into our own creative frequency. And when I did kind of a bonus Zoom with the people that already joined the training the other day, and right before I started the Zoom, it was on the 14th of September, which my mom knows is my oldest daughter's birthday. And the card I picked from the Wild Unknown Archetype deck was the womb, which of course the womb is the physicalized symbol of the feminine creative frequency. And I picked that card, and then we were having our first kind of, you know, pre-bonus creative frequency gathering 25 years after the first time I gave birth. Hello, womb, right, Patricia? I mean, you cannot make this shit up. It is crazy. So this energy for me feels like this, like warm, nurturing, feminine mother energy. Like she's so just excited to just create this very open, non-judgmental space, and to connect in an even perhaps more, I don't know, more like focused way, how this creative frequency wants to support us in like every area of our life, which of course has always been my big focus, always. And so anyway, so it's a unique, it's like a part of you, kind of a la Tara, an aspect of you that you can get to know even better, whether you're in the creative frequency coaching training or not. But it is proving already to be super magical. Does anyone else have a color right now that you're like freaking out about? Because magenta and the fluorescent pink are just like, I could not get enough. Anyone else have a color? Just unmute yourself and popcorn in, or put it in the chat. Let me see. Hi, Riella. I see turquoise on Candy. That's another one, of course. That turquoise, cerulean blue.
I'm enjoying how the colors are floating together and merging and just kind of making a river of blended colors.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you using watercolors or
Yeah.
acrylics?
Yeah, I just have a little itty bitty watercolor thing.
Kind of earthy colors, it looks like.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. And watercolor, you know, I feel like maybe the pigments have improved, which, you know, I would not be surprised about. But I feel like watercolors used to have this reputation for being kind of, you know, pastel-y and washy, but they're not. I mean, they don't have to be. And layering watercolors is also like, it's not quite so, it's not like layering acrylics exactly, but they do get bolder and bolder, right? So here's, can you all see like how this page is just getting more and more interesting? And this does have black, I think. I'm gonna add a little black in. I'm gonna do like so if you've gotten to a stage maybe where you feel like, okay, I've got a lot of stuff going on here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take black, I'm gonna get it nice and wet, and I'm holding again kind of the tip of the end of the brush and kind of do a soul scribble-ish line around the paper. So whether this ends up making me think of something or just divides up the paper into different, or the canvas or whatever you're painting on, into different sections. Either way, it is a good thing. Plus black, I feel like it makes all the colorful colors pop even more. I've always said that I feel like we all have a shape and a color, or a shape and a palette, right? So I'm definitely like curvy, curved circles, and then these jewel tones. Okay. Compose blue and watercolor. Ooh, Chantel, what is that color? Compose blue? Is that like a,
Oops, sorry. I have people construction at my house.
oh, nice.
Compost blue, it's a really, it's a beautiful blue. I'm in love with this blue. And I think it's only, which, yeah, so why you don't want to work? Okay, but it's like a really, it's like cerulean blue with, it's in the same family of the cerulean blue. And for water and for the sky is gorgeous. There's something magic about this blue.
Okay, I've never heard of that blue. I like it.
I don't know watercolor because now they are doing construction in my studio. So I'm, yes,
Okay. Well, hopefully it's happy
I'll
construction.
just go back in mute. I know it's pretty loud.
No, we can't hear it.
Oh, good.
Zoom does a really good job of, you know, kind of blocking out the background noise. That's why if you want to use a singing bowl or something during your Zooms, you have to put on that, the original sound. You have to turn that on so that it does show or like broadcasts the background noise. Anyway. Okay. Does anyone have a background that's getting pretty exciting, pretty interesting?
For me, it's whatever. It's birds. Everything I do, I don't want to do. It's birds.
Okay.
And I started, and I try to go away from it, but there's always a bird.
Right. I love it. And what,
Yeah.
what are birds whispering to you? What are they saying to you?
Bird is it's represent joy, lightness, family. Like a bird is so family oriented, you know, with the nest and protecting. It's also freedom.
Yep.
It's yeah, so I think it's really like to be yourself, to be your true colors, to have the freedom, and at the same time to be really family oriented, taking care for your little ones. And yes.
I love it. Perfect. And then for any of us, like whatever you think of when you think of birds is perfect, right? Whatever birds make you think of. I love the family aspect. That's like the birds of a feather flock together. It's kind of like this family, right? Birds of rainbow feathers.
There's mine. I gotta go. I only had a little time.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Whitney.
So, similar. I have a flock of dolphins, I
Yeah,
think.
I
Sea
dolphins.
creatures for the Pisces moon.
I
So
love it.
Pisces. Yeah, it's a.
Beautiful.
I liked putting in the black. It did kind of pop some things. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm at
So
work, so I have to. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I will say what I've been doing too, Wendy. So when you leave, like I've been going back through my journal every time I sit down, and there'll be a first layer or something like that. And then I'll bring like a pen, like a permanent, you know, micron pen, or I'll go back in with acrylic, or I'll go back in with something else. And I just keep building. And I don't know, it's somehow, yeah. It's
Satisfying.
kind of organic. Yeah. Well, enjoy.
Thank
Thanks
you
for leaving us with dolphin energy.
Yes, thank you all. I love what you're doing.
Okay.
Glad I could be here
Yeah, me too.
for a little bit.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
See you again. Bye.
Okay. I love that. Okay, so dolphins are I think it's in Rise Above, but you know, I think of if you all have been probably on a boat with a bunch of people, probably mostly adults, and dolphins are seen, and everybody just gets like a kid, right? It's like the inner child, like, ah! And everyone's like all bubbly and smiling and laughing. I love that about dolphins. And of course, birds, we know. Put a bird on it. So as you're painting this layer, one, I invite you to spin, if you're in a journal or whatever you're painting on, maybe flip it upside down or turn it one turn to the right or left, a quarter turn, and look at it that way. And if you start to see something, let it start communicating something to you. So I was doing a similar process for a video workshop I was creating for some summit or something. You guys will hear about it. It's the Wild Ones Summit, Rewilding or something. You'll get an email invite soon. It's a free event. But Chantel, this was partly inspired by you. So I was doing that playful first layer with acrylics, but I was adding a lot of water to the acrylics to keep it really loose. And then I did the whole thing, like spin it and see what you see. And look, I saw a frog. Chantel, so you don't always paint birds because you just painted the cutest frog ever. And it made me think, I want to paint a frog. And so look at this frog came out. So it was the two eyes were what I saw. And this red line kind of echoes the line that was just in there for me, just doing a squiggly line. And then there was a brush stroke that was kind of this arm. So I was gonna look at your frog because you all, if I'm like, oh, I want to paint a frog, I totally Google image like fun, easy frog painting, or I would go to Chantel's and try and paint Chantel's. That's allowed, steal like an artist and all that. But this arm showed me, and I'm like, oh geez, okay, I'm gonna have to paint my own frog position, and I managed. But so this frog, yeah, makes me so happy. I had a frog. Mom, remember my big frog? I had this big stuffed frog as a kid, and I brought it to college. I slept with it forever. I think it might finally be lost or somewhere buried in a kid's bed. But
I do remember that frog.
yeah, it was big. It was like bigger than me. So
Yeah, really unattractive, actually.
But frogs make me think of transformation because they're another animal that, and I've seen them like on these river trips in the spring. You see the tadpoles in the little creek, like kind of the side little channels, or almost like tide pools of a creek. And then, they're little fish, and then they grow legs, and holy moly.
When I did research on frog, that's what they were saying. It starts from an egg. And then you go to the little one that no legs, the tétard in French, and then you have the frog. And then if you get a kiss, you might get a prince.
Right. Exactly. I've yet to meet that frog for sure. But and then the other day I was doing a creative frequency, and this is an old journal that I pulled out from the studio because I'm tearing through art journals right now, and honestly, I didn't do that much art journaling over the last however many years, but this old journal, I don't know, it had this empty page, and I had a really cool first layer, which I loved. And then I saw a phoenix. See the pink and the yellow and the orange? So this color has been coming through a lot, but you can see the under painting, right? You see my loosey-goosey kind of irregular circles and things. And then I love, of course, letting as much of that first layer show through. So the phoenix, when you think of the phoenix rising from the ashes, right? The rebirth, the regeneration, and connect that to the creative frequency. So this is the prompt to do super loose, fun, detached first layer, mixed media, playful, non-dominant hand, just getting lost in the colors, trying, intending to get as present as you can. And then, when you're doing it on your own, you can kind of just intend that whenever the kind of the animal totem or ally wants to come through, you'll see it, right? So you can play along and start looking for it now, or you can just note to self, like, Whitney, I'm having so much fun just playing with turquoise and magenta right now. I don't want to think of an animal. That's fine too. And maybe moving forward, as you go back to this journal or keep going after we sign off, an animal will appear. And then connect that to your creativity, your creative frequency, or the change that you want to create in your life right now, which could be little, like I want to slow down, slow down, slow down. I want to speed up. I want to I want to do something new and different or exciting, whatever it is, and see what comes through. So we've had frog and this phoenix, and then I had, gosh, now I've got so many journals going. I also had snakes come through. This came through. You might have seen this one. I've been using it. This lady, she was just this drip, like her head's a drip. And then there was just a suggestion of arms. And I kind of filled her in a little bit. And it became for me kind of this rising above, you know, kind of inspired by this inspiration, higher light, whatever. And then these echoing energetic like frequencies. This is like the creative frequency, and the more you nurture it and the bigger it gets. And then there was another one here, and then I was like, ooh. So the bigger your creative frequency gets, like the more you nurture it, pay attention to it, then it can kind of expand and entrain with other creative frequencies. We love collaboration. Always. And then I have kind of a jellyfish thing going on too. This one. So it actually started out this way with the black and white lines kind of being the information, or like the energetic kind of building blocks being offered to the pink magenta orb, which was me. This is another self-portrait. And then just all the interaction and collaboration and I don't know, just super fun. But somewhere in here I have snakes as well. Oh, this one, which is more of that earthy palette, Sharon, like you're working with, and kind of the black and white. So it's the shedding the skin and the transformation. Hey, Gina. And then also the black and white always remind me of like yin and yang and non-duality, right? So one of the greatest, whatever you want to call frequencies, gifts that we can receive as we paint is this, what I love to call radical acceptance. And, you know, when you might be tempted to be like, oh, it's not working, or it always gets muddy, or I can't do this, or whatever. It's like, what if that experience is exactly what you're meant to have? Just like when I was talking at the beginning about, you know, having those moments, that messy middle where you just feel like, oh my gosh, this painting is never going to be anything good, and I stink at this, and I shouldn't even be doing this. And then when you keep going, right, there's always, like, it usually becomes one of your favorite paintings, and it's helping you to understand that that's available to you when in life, off the canvas, you meet up with a similar situation where it feels like, oh, I can't do this, it's not working, I'm not good at this. And when you keep going, you get to something you like. So this energy of there is no good or bad, right or wrong. Like there is no failure, there is no end, there are no mistakes. Everything exists because of its opposite. Like if we only had daytime, like it would, like we wouldn't really know it, because we wouldn't know it compared to nighttime, right? We wouldn't know the difference and the beauty of sunlight versus starlight, because we wouldn't have the opposite to compare it to. So the non-duality is the understanding that everything is a part of everything. Like there is nothing that shouldn't be here or is wrong. It's all aspects, like different facets of the same thing. And instead of rejecting part of it or believing an element of life or yourself is wrong or bad, how is that actually pointing you to something that you do want, or something you do want to nurture, or what have you learned from those experiences? Just like we can look back and think of some of the most challenging parts of our life and think, wow, if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be as resilient. I wouldn't be as wise. I wouldn't be as ... right? Because I learned so much from that situation, even though in the moment we might have really wished that we didn't have to experience that. But in hindsight, it's part of what has empowered us the most. It's those underworld experiences, like Persephone, like what we were talking about. It's because of the underworld experiences that we emerge stronger, wiser, more empowered, right? It's the principle, which you all have heard me say so many times, of putting the seed in the ground, deep under, away from the light, in the dirt, so that it can grow up. In Gene Keys, it's called involution. And involution is anchoring in, like more love, more light. And the more we go into the shadows, the more light we can anchor in when we emerge from those experiences. So there's no shame, there's no guilt. It's like the deeper you go, the higher you can go. And that's awesome. So love that non-duality. So the snakes, besides the fact snakes are just, you know, people love them or hate them. But I love them. I love the phrase, not exact. I feel like my friend Maria Booney said it when she calls in the directions and she calls on grandmother snake, help me live belly to belly with Mother Earth. That's a good, right? Trusting. And evolution. So there, I went, if you saw my Instagram story, Mother, if you checked my Instagram story today, we went down to Amnaha. My friend Claudia, who's staying with me, and my son Mason is in town. And we went to Amnaha and we went up, down to the river and up. I was going to try and fly, but the wind was going the wrong direction. But so we were way up high and it was super beautiful. And then we went down and got a snack at the store tavern, like the one and only business in Amnaha, Oregon. And I explained that there every year, I didn't see signs of it this year, but they have a rattlesnake hunt, like competition. It's not good. But what's happening, and I can't remember if it's just there or everywhere, but I've experienced it down on the Amnaha River. The rattlesnakes are learning not to rattle. Like I've always been super grateful because rattlesnakes rattle, and then you know they're there and you're like, okay, you know, give it space. But they're learning not to rattle because down there, when they rattle, they get shot. So evolution in process. And I think those people are going to wish that the rattlesnakes kept rattling. We shall see. So anyway, interesting little snake tidbit brought to you from the canyons in the county. Okay. Has anyone seen an animal or something else in their musings? Anna, do you want to share? I see you nodding your head. Yeah, darling.
I see an owl.
You see an owl?
Well, you know, I just suddenly saw the two eyes, and there's got to be a beak somewhere.
Yeah, there is.
But it's like right
I see
in
it
here.
right there. It's the blue one, right? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
There's kind of a triangle there.
Yeah. So.
Isn't that funny? I feel like I could see an owl in just about everything as well.
Yeah. Maybe that's going to happen to me too.
Right? You're going to go through an owl period.
In an owl phase, right?
If you're lucky.
Right. Hoo, hoo, hoo.
Right? Ooh,
So I can say to people.
An owl phase.
I think I've been hearing one at night. I've been hearing one in the out there.
Nice.
Yeah. So maybe that's what's going on.
I love that.
Anyway.
Who
I
else
just
is
love
seeing
listening to you. It's just fun listening to you and being here.
Oh, good. Thank you for joining. Always lovely to see you.
Hey, Whitney.
Yeah. Hi, Nadia.
Hi. Okay, so I don't know what it's called, but the only way I can explain it is those birds that have the big long neck and they've got this beak and then like the googly eyes. It might not even be a real animal, but you should
Kind of like an ibis / roadrunner.
Oh, maybe. I don't know, but I'm seeing this beak
Oh, yeah.
and these big googly eyes.
I love it.
So I don't know.
I love it. So we could like the beak. I mean, those big long beaks are always so they can like get in to more, like access food that's harder to reach, maybe. And they've got those big googly eyes so they can find what they're looking for.
So maybe I am trying to catch something, trying to attract something to my beak.
Mm. Mhm.
This weekend, though, okay, so Saturday was Creative Frequency Day.
Yeah.
And I went to an island that I'd never been to before with a friend, which is totally out of my norm. Like it's not something I do. And I was sitting in this lavender garden at one point, and I was like, oh my God, like I hear nothing. Like it was so peaceful.
Mm.
And then I slowly started to hear like the little crickets and little birds came in but I saw like every shop we went to, every little like at the farmer's market, rose, like rose oil, rose lotion. There's a picture of a rose. And I was like, what the hell does a rose mean? I'm like, I guess this is my creative frequency day and this is a symbol I'm getting, but I don't know what a rose means other than like love. And I guess it depends on the color, right? Passion,
Mhm.
everywhere. It was crazy.
Rose always makes me think of Mary Magdalene,
Oh,
who I feel has always been, and some of you have mentioned this to me, has been always very present with this community.
okay.
She was an energy healer. She's the feminine, the divine aspect. Jesus was the masculine, she was the feminine. She's all about the reclamation, right, Pamela, of the divine feminine and the way she was made out to be, this prostitute and, one of those ladies, when in fact, she like kept Jesus on track.
Well, it's
Remember,
funny because we
you're
were
not going to get it for at least 2,000 years. Just, keep focused.
it's funny because we were looking for a parking spot and I said, Hail Mary, full of grace, help us find our perfect parking spot.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I always do that. I do thank you for the Rockstar parking place. But I've also read, like, let's just say the creative frequency being like, okay, can you please expand beyond parking places, people? Like, you can call in more than just the Rockstar parking place, right?
Yes.
You are worthy of even more of that kind of divine synchronicity than just a parking place. So I always think of that. So maybe your beak and those big eyes and the big beak up level. Mary, Hail Mary, full of grace, help me find my
Perfect studio space. Okay.
love it. Bigger,
Yes,
bigger.
because right now this is not conducive to what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I remember your nice studio space where you had hella people coming to classes.
Yes. Yes. I want that again. I'm calling that in.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you.
Got it. I love it. Anybody else want to share? Claire? A lion? Lioness. She's purple. Why do you think she's purple?
I don't know, purple and pink and blue. It's all I don't normally paint like this, but
Right?
yeah, I kind of like it.
I love it.
It's sort of a bit angry, isn't it?
Well, she looks fierce.
Or determined, maybe.
Determined. Fierce. I'm waving at Mason's friend. She's determined and she's fierce, and it feels very lunar as well, right? Like her head and where that sun, but the sun doesn't look as sunnish as it looks moonish. That moonlight.
Yeah.
The fierce feminine, which we explored in the Kali. Have you been in the Whitney Freya Studio Facebook group? Did you do the Kali?
Yes, I did the Kali painting. I love that.
Yeah. But so that fierce feminine energy, right? That is fierce. It's not a fierce, like aggressive, like making trouble kind of fierce. It's a fierce, like enough, right? Like this is what has to happen here, or more love, more compassion, more sustainability, and being fierce about that.
Like I know fierce love, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's the mama bear energy, right? But I think more of us are being called into that fierceness. I can be the queen of like, well, whatever you want to do, or what do you guys think, or maybe possibly you might want to think of it this way, instead of like, listen, here's the truth, like here's my truth, like just speaking fiercely, which is like out of conviction and out of love and out of a desire to illuminate or raise or inspire or build up. It can be that fierceness. I'm imagining having a conversation with a friend, that's like fierce about, you are worth more, you can have this, like expanding, creating space for people to believe more, things like that.
Well, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing. Gorgeous. Wow, an hour goes by so speedily. Did anyone else get anything? And I love when you say, Claire, like I don't normally paint like this, because that's the other thing I keep getting and emphasizing to people, that like when you detach from like, okay, this isn't about like doing something good. I don't have to be in fear around, do I know the technique, or do I need to learn from someone else? Like you generate that freedom from within to just create and express, and then like you surprise yourself, because you're not trying to do anything except what is right in front of you in the present moment. And in that present moment, you have access to so much. We all do.
It's interesting you saw lioness as well, because when it started to emerge, I saw lion, and now I'm really pleased it's a lioness.
Beautiful. Well, it's funny, I've found in general, like when I paint animals, often my knee-jerk reaction is to call it a he. And then I'm like, why? What? Let's make it a she, like it's a thing. But the lioness, the lionesses do all the hunting. The lion just sleeps 18 hours a day, like the lioness she's the fierce one.
It's interesting, it's literally this evening I was having a conversation with a friend about, sort of houses tend to be quite female, don't they? Even if you're living in a, heterosexual couple, it's very female, it will be decorated the way the woman wants. And his opinion was that a man would be perfectly happy away in the forest with one sort of fire, a very simple bed, and nothing else. And it's like, well, packs are often like that. Elephants, the male elephant lives elsewhere all alone, and it's the women that raise the children and operate as a community. And the same with wolves. And like there's so many versions of that, where it's the female community that leads the way forward and the future of the pack, and the male just toddles around on his own, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was like that. I was just the other day explaining to my friend Claudia, who lives here, because I'm in a relationship, and she's like, and you'd never want to live together? I'm like, no. Like, one, why ruin it? Two, like, I'm going to grow old with my soul sisters. Like some people, a couple ladies at least, are going to come live with me. And, you know, I go, it used to be more like that. Like the village, you know, the men were out hunting and the women were back in the village doing all the other things.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why we're better at multitasking. We have a larger corpus callosum between the left and right hemisphere and then men. And frankly, it's why creativity is a feminine quality, right? Creativity is the bringer of new life. It is the, you know, the full palette of possibility. And it's what is so dramatically needed to bring the world back into balance. It's the feminine, it's the creative, you know. So this creative frequency and being in like the coaching training is simply to empower people however they're meant and however feels natural to share, but to be and have the tools you need to turn around and offer and create space for other people to enter into their own creative frequency in a way that's independent from the way most of us were raised. That's like, here's how you do it. You know, this is good, this is bad. Some people have talent, most people don't. You know, that's where most of us got our creative wounds. You know, they say 85% of people say they have a creative wound. That's not the real creativity. That's what we're wanting to remind people of. And it is this creative frequency, which is feminine, which is unconditionally loving and fiercely wants to be reclaimed right now, because it's what is going to solve the problems we have, you know, which are beautiful problems. The problems happen so that there can be solutions, non-dual, but I think we're all ready for more solutions, right? So anyway, it's all wrapped up together. And I love that. And it's reflected in nature. Everything's reflected in nature. Right? Beautiful. I love it. Anyone else have anything you want to share in closing? Well, thank you, Patricia. Let me see. Hold it up.
Wow.
Oh, I see the owl even more, Anna. Oh, Patricia, the colors. What do you see there? I guess I could make you bigger. It reminds me of mine, kind of. I see whales, kind of. But have to see. Love it. Oh, and there. Okay, that's a different piece. Love, love, love it. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being in Whitney Freya studio and for getting to know your creative frequency. And feel free, I would love to see like how this journal page evolves or what this leads to, you know, share in the Whitney Freya studio group. I am doing in 30 minutes, 25 minutes, I'm doing an info session on the creative frequency coaching that starts kind of next week. The 26th is the kickoff call, and super excited about it. We have over 20, I think there are like over 25 creatively fit coaches who have paid over $1,000 to be a part of this new training. So they've done the one training, they want more, want to plug back into the community, right, ladies? Many of you here. And then new people joining, and it's just, I'm so stinking excited. Like I did the creatively fit coaching training for 14 years, and I loved every second of it. And then this winter, it was like in a moment, I understood that it was changing and shifting, and it's very, very alive. So if you're interested or like curious, you're getting bajillions of emails from me. So click whatever link, reply back to anything, ask me any questions, but it's a magical experience. So I'll be sharing more about that in 30 minutes. And if you haven't gotten an email, email me whitneyfreya@gmail.com. So, and if you watch the replay, thank you for watching the replay. And these do go on my YouTube channel, so you all can share these with friends or anybody. Let them in on like, this is the kind of creativity I'm talking about. It's not your 5th grade art teacher that told you weren't good at drawing. I had the art teacher when I was 9 tell me drawing wasn't my thing. And I just figured that meant I couldn't be an artist. And so thank goodness. I mean, it was super fun to come back around and open an art center and just dive right into the contrasting belief, right? So super grateful. Yay, good to see everyone. one of you just joined iPhone. Sorry, we're just finishing, but the replay will be on my YouTube channel in a little bit. Okay, everyone. Mwah! Sending lots of love. Go be fierce. Fiercely feminine and creative.